Hi, so today I'm interviewing my mom about an experience in her perspective of when I was very little and was sick. So, first question, what led me to being in the hospital?
Well, we thought you had what was a common cold, and it lasted about 7 days. And then finally, on the seventh day, I realized that you weren't getting better; you were actually getting worse. So, your father took you in to have a checkup, and they wouldn't let you leave the hospital because it appeared that your lungs had almost completely stopped functioning.
And how did you react to this news?
Well, at that time I was at work when I got the phone call. So I felt more inconvenienced than anything, simply because I wasn't sure what was going on. The information I had gotten was really unclear. However, when I got there after work and I saw you, I could tell that you had a rough day. You were very sick. And they had told me about 20 minutes after I got there that we would be life flighting you to another hospital with better facilities for your lung condition.
How did you handle and keep afloat while I was in the hospital?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
How did you handle the situation while I was in the hospital and keep afloat?
Well, once they life flighted you to another hospital, they immediately intubated you, and what that means is they put you to sleep in a drug-induced coma and put a breathing machine, essentially a fake lung, down inside through your throat, down into your lungs, that did the breathing for you. And so that day was the last day I got to see your eyes, and I got to see your smile, because once they put you in coma, you were just a little teeny body there, and their machine was breathing for you because your lungs weren't functioning. So it just, there was nothing I could do. I was powerless. I spent most of my days and nights at the hospital next to you. And I prayed a whole lot and just sit next to you and just hoped that there would be healing.
Did you think you handled this the best way that you possibly could?
I think in this situation, I handled it the best way I could with what I had at the time. In hindsight, it probably would have been more advisable for me to have gotten more sleep, maybe eaten a little healthier. But in those moments of really extreme stress, you get by and you do what you can do. I'm very lucky. I had great nursing staff. You had great nursing staff that encouraged me and supported me and brought me food and understood that I didn't want to leave your side. So that I handled it the best way I could have. I believe so. I don't think there was another way for me to handle it. It was my baby girl was really sick.
How did you feel when the doctor told you I wasn't going to live?
So you had been in the hospital about 15 days, not improving at all. In fact, when they did the MRI, there were so many holes in your lungs that there was less tissue than there was healthy tissue. So most of it was damaged or completely eaten away. So whatever sickness you had, the organism had literally ate holes in your lungs. What that meant was the machine that was breathing for you actually was pushing air into your lungs. Hopefully your lungs would use it, but it wasn't. It was escaping your lungs and filling up your chest cavity. So you had blown up like a huge balloon. So they had to sew these tubes into your chest, into your rib cage, and that's where you have those scars today. To let the air out. It pulled the air out of your chest cavity. And you were getting worse and worse and worse. They kept taking you to do, every time we touch you, your stats would go down. Your oxygen levels were so low, they told us you would be brain damaged, probably, for life, and never have good cognitive ability again. So that day, so you kept getting worse. The day the doctor actually came in, you were getting worse and worse and worse. And on the 15th day, I remember coming home feeling just exhausted and kind of just hopeless. Not sure that you would come back. They were telling me you might not. They were actually handing me pamphlets to see if we would donate your healthy organs. Your heart was still healthy. Would consider donating other parts of your body for either research or to help other children that were sick. So that day I left with those pamphlets. They wanted to do a lung biopsy. They wanted to go and do surgery and take a piece of your lung out so they could find out what the organism was, because they had tried over 40 different medicines at this point, pumping through an IV. And I just said no. I don't know. I said no. You don't need to find out. I think they knew you weren't going to make it, and they just wanted to see what the organism was. that was causing me to be so sick so they could do research or whatever. And I said, no, I just couldn't support that. But I came home, I was exhausted, I felt like we were hopeless, I didn't know what else to do, prayed a whole lot, called all my family, called your aunts and uncles and your grandparents, and just said, I'm not sure she'll make it tomorrow. Um, Forced myself to get some sleep. And somewhere in the night, something happened, I felt hopeful again, and I felt like something was going to change. When I got to the hospital the next morning, and this was only like 4 hours difference, I only slept about 4 hours. When I got back to the hospital, I felt hopeful. And I looked at the monitors when I walked in. The doctors, there were a bunch of doctors in the room at the time. Everybody's heads were hung down. And they said today she probably will be gone. So I felt hopeful, though. I didn't believe them. I looked at the numbers, and your oxygen levels were in the 50s and 40s, meaning that you were not, even though they were pumping in pure oxygen to your body couldn't make use of it. So in your blood, at any given point in time, you should be about 100% pulse ox. You were in the 40s to 50s, which is brain dead levels. But I felt hopeful. And when your nurse came in, a wonderful, wonderful nurse who was one-on-one with you the whole time, she had done some research overnight and heard about this new strategy or this new method of turning patients with respiratory issues on their stomach. And she wanted to try it. The doctors were adamant, no, we can't do this. And I just felt like we had nothing else to lose at that point. So with the support of one doctor who used to be actually a high school science teacher, and her and myself, we advocated for it and we agreed to try it. We turned you over, and within 2 to 3 hours, your pulse ox had rose into the 60s, and by 8 o'clock that night, your pulse ox was in the 80s, which is completely livable. 3 days later, you were able to go to recovery, where we then extubated you. They brought you back to life. I got to see your beautiful brown eyes again, and they pulled the tube out of your lungs, and you were able to yell at me and tell me you can't want that, and start the recovery process, which involved coming down off the drug addiction. But the thought of losing you at first, I felt like it was real, like, oh my gosh, we're not going to have my baby anymore. And then I just had to reset my mind and have some hope, and here you are.
What made you so sure I was going to live?
I'm going to say that's my faith. I do believe in miracles, and I have a strong belief in, that things happen for a reason. And so I really truly felt like I relied on my faith a lot. There was times when I didn't believe that you would come out of it, and I was trying really hard to find the reason why this was happening. But in the end, at the final day, when I finally just paused and quit being so pessimistic, I saw that there was hope, and just had to trust that the right thing was going to happen.
Do you think my recovery changed you as a person?
Your entire sickness changed me as a person, for sure. You don't realize how much you value your children until you almost lose them. It definitely made me refocus on what was important in my life, so I had a lot of misdirected priorities, and so I think at that very moment in time, it helped me really realize every minute counts, every second with your children counts. And the thought of losing your child, like actually having it in front of you, that real possibility is an inexplainable feeling that I would not wish on anybody. So yeah, it definitely was pivotal for me in terms of how I prioritize life and what's important to me and what's not.
Love you.
I love you.